Okay, now back to this one. Now, if you look at your textbook, what is the use for ticker timer? It will say that it is used to study the velocity or study the motion of a moving object, right? In a small scale, 不是那种比如说 motion of a car, motion of an airplane. That is the big scale one. We are talking about a very small scale. For example, like experiment. You are doing an experiment of a trolley. Like how does the trolley moves? What is the velocity? If you are required to calculate the velocity of the trolley, then we use a ticker timer. Okay, so I'm not sure if you have done the experiment for ticker timer. Usually in your school, your teacher, your science teacher, physics teacher will let you do this experiment ticker timer, right? So okay, now without let's jump straight into it. Okay, so let me draw. 我大概这样子画出来了，我不是很会画。Okay, I can roughly draw the ticker timer out. Okay, it looks like this. It looks like this. Okay, this one. So this is the base, and this is the surface. 然后 looks like this one. Okay, pardon my drawing. Okay, so this is connected to the AC supply current. Okay, so this is so this one, the surface, there is one this shape paper. This paper is actually a carbon paper. We call it the carbon disc. Okay, carbon disc. So it's made of carbon, obviously. Okay, so below this one, there's a one pointed tip, 尖尖的东西. Okay, that one is for the ticker time. When you turn on the ticker timer, right? This one, it will keep vibrating. This one, the shaft here, this shaft, it will vibrate up down. Okay, what happened is 当它下的时候是它会 press onto the carbon disc, and then it would mark a point on the surface. Okay, usually we will put a ticker tape, okay, underneath this one. So the red thing is a ticker tape. Okay, ticker timer and ticker tape. Ticker timer 它是那个 device. Okay, ticker tape 它是一个长长的一个 a strip of paper. All right. Now this strip of paper is attached to the trolley, to whatever that we want to study, the motion. Okay, so this is, for example, this is my trolley. Okay, so we attach the ticker tape at the back, and then we connect it to the ticker timer. Now what happened is, if we zoom out, let's take a manual zoom. I zoom out this one. I zoom out the shaft, down the shaft, this one. It looks like this. 这个是那个尖尖的头. Okay, and then this is the. Can you imagine you're looking at 2D, 2D. This is the carbon disc, the carbon layer, and below is your ticker tape, right? Excuse me. Okay, now ticker timer, remember that we use ticker timer to study the velocity, to find the velocity. For example, if my experiment setup is like this, 我放这个斜 incline, I put a block here. Let's say I put my trolley here, and then I let go, right? I let go, and then it moves down, and it moves horizontally to the right. But this one, if I want to study how fast it moves, or what is the acceleration of the trolley, or what is the velocity, what is the initial and final velocity, or what is the change in momentum. Okay, so ticker timer can be useful in this case. Okay, why? Because it gives us the velocity of the trolley. So how do we calculate the velocity? Today I'm going to teach you how to calculate velocity, or how to analyze the ticker timer. Okay, now back to this one. So then look at my this one, the zoom in. Okay, 这个是 2D, 这个是那个 pointer, and then 我们分成3个 axis. The first axis is the original position. Look at my red line. Let's call it X. The first axis. Okay. The second axis is down here. on the ticker tape, x, y, let's call it y. Okay, the third axis is up here, z. Okay, now I'll explain what this means. Okay, when you turn on the ticker timer, 当你打开的时候, when you press on, what happens is that this pointer will start to vibrate. Okay, it will go up and down very fast one. Okay, what happens is first it will go down. Okay, look at my blue arrow. From x-axis, initially it is at x, right? It will go down to y, and it will go up to z, and then it will come back down to x. And this is we call one complete movement. Okay, or you can call it one oscillation. Okay, or one vibration. Okay, 所以它是从原本的地方 original position at x, come down, go up, come back down to the original position. So we call one oscillation. Okay, now this happened very quickly. For example, usually for ticker timer, question 会讲的 ，OK， 它是多少 frequency 的 ticker timer？ Usually 我们是用50 Hertz 的 ticker timer. Usually the setting is 50 Hertz. Sometimes it can be like 55, it can be 60. So you have to pay attention to the question. Okay, is it 50 Hertz or what? Because it will affect your calculation. Now 50 Hertz means that this one means, okay, you can take note when I write down all this. Okay, because later I erase then gone already. But still I recorded it. Okay, excuse me. Okay, 50 Hertz 意思是说50 vibrations in 1 second. Okay, this is frequency, number of vibration in 1 second. So 意思是说这个 pointer 是当你 turn on 是在1秒里面是它会 repeat 50次这样子的一个 vibration. Okay, so it's very fast, right? And every time it goes down from x-axis to y-axis, it will press onto the carbon paper and then press onto the ticker tape. What happened from here is that it will make a mark, a carbon mark on the ticker tape. Okay, it will make a mark on the ticker tape. For each vibration, it will make one mark. So meaning that in 1 second, 你会拿到50个 marks, 50 marking on the ticker tape. All right. Now, and then after, so this is how we set up the experiment. You look down here, this is the inclined plane. So the trolley, usually your trolley is connected to a ticker tape at the back, and then you connect to the ticker timer. When you press on the ticker timer, the same time you let go of the trolley so that it moves down. Okay, so that it starts to move, right? So we are always getting a 1 minute movement. Sorry, 1 minute, like a 1 second. Okay, you can get up to a few seconds, but usually the ticker timer is measured 1 second, because 1 second you already have 50 dots. It's already so many. Okay, the standard one lah. Usually we get 50 dots. Okay, so from here, 如果我讲我的 ticker timer 是60 Hertz, then you know in 1 second you have 60 dots, right? 60 dots. Now, let me continue to the next part. So I want to erase this. So if you not managed to copy it down, you can take a screenshot first. Okay. So after you turn on, after you've done the experiment, you will get this one. 这个是你的 ticker tape. It looks like this. Okay, so this is your ticker tape, and then it will have a dot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like this. Okay, for each dot. Now, it is important. How do we calculate the velocity using this one? Okay, so first you have to find what is the time taken between each dot. Okay, between the first dot and the second dot, what is the time between them? Now, we know that 50 hertz 1秒50个嘛，是不是？所以如果我们用1除50的话，我们就可以找到 the time taken between each dot, which is 0.02 second. 这个是 between each dot the time taken. So I can label out here this one and this one. Here it is only 0.02 second. So if you have 50 dots, that adds up to 1 second, right? So how do we measure the velocity? We have to first measure the length. Okay, 所以我们找用尺量它的长度，在这边 let's say it is 8 cm. Okay, 8 cm. So we use the formula v equals the distance divided by time. Okay, so you have 8 cm divided by 0.02, and then you times how many here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So meaning that 0.02 times 5. Okay, 8 divided by 0.1. So part 2, 0.1, then you get 80 cm as minus 1. So this is a simple way to calculate the velocity of the trolley, that the something that we want to study. All right, now 有一个是很重要的东西，我要 highlight 这边。OK， 你们要注意 the direction of motion。OK， 因为如果我直接给你一个 ticker tape 是你不知道哪一个是第一个点，哪一个是最后一个点。OK，you have to look at the direction of motion。如果我写我的 direction of motion is to the right。sorry。OK， so direction of motion D or M， 如果它是指着右边，意思说我的 trolley 是这样子，这是我的 trolley 啊。OK，imagine 我是从上面看下来，我的 trolley， 然后我的 ticker tape 在后面。I'm going here, right? So if I'm going here, meaning that the first dot is on the right side. This is the first dot. The second dot is here, right? And then follows by this one, third, fourth. Okay, this is when the direction of motion is to the right. Now, what happens if my direction of motion is to the left? Then 你调转. If my direction motion is here, D or M, meaning that this is my first dot, and this is my second dot, this is my third dot, and the following. Okay, so direction of motion is very, very, very important. The first thing you want to do when you do the ticker timer question, you have to look at the direction of motion. Okay, so that you know the first dot, second dot, and third dot. Okay, now back to this. So 在这里是我们看到什么？在这个你看这个 ticker timer, the distance between each dot is the same. Okay, if you look at here, 这个跟这个跟这个跟这个跟这个跟这个 all they seems to have the equal distance. What does this tell you? This tells you that the trolley is moving at constant velocity. Okay, write this down. Constant velocity. 因为每 0.02 秒它都在走着同样的距离，所以这个是 constant velocity. Okay, so there are a few types of motion. Okay, I have to write this down. Let me erase this first. Just take a screenshot of this one, and I will erase this one. Okay. Types of motion. First is constant velocity. Okay, so constant velocity is when you have, okay, 这是我的 ticker tape. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, Okay, well, the direction motion first is to the right and the second is to the left. Okay, so regardless of the direction of motion, you see that for constant velocity, the tick is the same, having the same distance. All the ticks having the same distance to each other. Okay, now second type is when we have increasing velocity. How does it look like? Increasing velocity. So let's draw it. Okay, so let's draw it out. Okay, this is the first ticker tape. Direction of motion. Direction of motion. Okay, now when the direction of motion is to the right, how does my ticker tape looks like? Okay, so it increasing velocity 意思说一来它是走慢，过后它走快。OK， 所以你的第一个点跟你的第二个点是比较靠近的，然后你第三个点呢会慢慢远，第四个点也是会比较远，第五个点也是会比较远，所以你会看到 towards the right side 呢 your ticks will be close to each other, closer to each other. Okay, this is when you have an increasing velocity. Okay, so if your direction of motion is to the left, 意思说你这个是第一个点吗？这是第一个点，第二、第三，然后后面会慢慢越来越远，因为你在增加你的速度。Okay, so I write this down here. This is your first, this is your second, and this is your first, this is your second dot. This is increasing velocity. Now, next one, we have decreasing velocity. Okay, decreasing velocity, so let's draw it. Yes, let's use green color. This. Okay, again, direction of motion to the right. 所以 decreasing velocity 呢，就是你的第一个跟第二个会比较远，然后它会慢慢接近，点 something like this. Okay, so if your direction motion to the left, at first is far, and then closer, because it is slowing down. Okay, you can imagine it, right? You can imagine. So this is the first one. This is the second dot. And this is the first dot. This is the second dot. Now, you see how important is identifying the direction of motion. Okay, without the direction of motion, you will get confused whether it is increasing velocity or decreasing velocity. Okay, it all depends on the direction of motion. So you have to be careful with that. Okay, so take a screenshot of this one, or you can write this down. One minute. Okay, let's continue. Okay, calculation of velocity and acceleration. Now let's look at velocity first. Okay, so for this one is constant velocity. Straight away you look at it, you know, okay, this is moving at constant velocity because same distance. Okay, so let's label simply the direction of motion here. Now, to find the velocity, first you find length. Let's say I have the length here from the first tick to the last tick. It is like 12 cm. Okay, from the first tick to the last tick, 12 cm. So from here, you can calculate V equals distance over T. So you have 12 cm divided by, now you have to calculate how many ticks. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, 9 ticks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, 9. So you know that for a ticker timer that has a frequency of 50 Hertz, meaning that one tick is 0.02 second, right? So if you have 9 ticks to 0.02 times 9, and whatever is your answer here, okay, 298 0. Okay, let me calculate this. 12除 0.66.67 cm s minus 1. Okay, so nothing complicated here, but one thing that you have to be careful. 你要注意，如果我讲我的 ticker timer 是50 Hertz, then your time change. 52 Hertz, what you want to do is you take 1 second divided by 52. That is your time taken for one tick. Okay, it's almost the same lah. If you make it big a bit, 我们放它60，它差不多一样，放它60 Hertz. Okay, so 1 divided by 60, of course you have 0.016. Okay, 0.016 is quite close. It is quite close, but it makes a big difference sometimes. Okay, so you just have to look at what frequency of ticker timer you are using. Okay, so this is for velocity. Now, second, talk about acceleration. Okay, how do we calculate acceleration? Now let's draw again this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. Okay, so direction of motion 去右边，所以你可以看到这个是你的 first tick、second tick， 你的 first tick 跟你的 second tick 比较靠近，你的 last 2 ticks will be further. So let's say I take this one is 0.5 cm， 然后这个两个是 2 cm. Okay, so how do we calculate this? Write down here acceleration. Now, 当你要找 acceleration, first 你先找 initial and final. What is the formula for acceleration? A 等于 final minus initial 除时间，是不是 ？Final, so 你要先找 what is your final velocity? What is your initial velocity? Now, 如果你的 direction of motion 是 to the right, 所以你是从这里开始是，这里是 beginning, starting, and here is the ending, right? So your initial velocity is here, initial velocity, and this is your final velocity. Okay, so how do you calculate your initial velocity? You take the first 2 points. 拿前面那2个 point u 等于 the distance is 0.5 除多少时间？这个 okay, let's say 50 hertz. So 除0.02 right 0.5除0.02 you get 25 cms minus 1. This is your initial. Now calculate your final velocity v, the last 2 dot, which is 2 cm divided by 0.02, and that will give you 100 cm s minus 1. Okay, so you got your initial and final velocity. How do you find the time? This one. 这里要注意啊，当你找时间的时候是你要拿前面2个 dot 的中间，还有后面2个 dot 的中间。OK， 所以从这里到这里的时间是多少 ？I repeat 啊，找时间你要拿前面2个的中间，就是 the average of the first 2 dot， 然后你也是要拿后面2个点的中间。OK， 前面到后面的时间是多少 ？So you calculate。OK， so 从中间到第2个点 ，look at here， 从中间到第2个点 ，this is half， right？ You do it like this, easier. This is half. Okay, I draw it out. 加，这里到 first is half， 这里到这边是1个、2个、3、4、5、6、7、8，然后这里到这里也是一半。Okay, so what you want to do is half plus 加1，这里多少个？看1、2、3、4、5、6、7、8，加1加1加1加1， 5、6、7、8。OK， 1、2、3、4、5、6、7、8，然后你再加最后的一半。Okay, you do it like this. Okay, you plus all of it, and then you times the time for each take 0.02. OK， 所以这里是总共是9啦，因为8加一半加一半就等于9，你乘 0.02， and that will give you a total time of 0.18 second. 明白吗 ？OK， I repeat 啊 ，so 你找多少个点，从前面的2个 tick 的一半去到后面2个 tick 的一半，然后你乘 what is the time taken for each tick, then you get the total time. Okay, this is the 0.18 second. Then after that you put in the formula. Okay, you put in the formula. So A equals to 100减25除 0.18, and that is your answer for the acceleration. OK， 把这个写下来，或者你要 screenshot 也可以。1 minute。 OK，我再 send 那个 link 给你们，因为这里剩下1分钟，and then you guys join back again，OK？